Today I'm wearing my hat because it's freezing in here and I'm trying to keep my bald head warm. Next week, we're going to be talking about the agenda. We're going to be talking about what a weekly leadership team agenda looks like. The first question, though, is why should your team be meeting every single week? If you're an Axiom client, that's required. We know that teams that meet every single week and work on the business outperform teams that meet once a month or once a quarter. And we're about performance. We need to see the business progress, and we want the business to do incredibly well. When you're meeting, though, a lot of those meetings turn into like status updates. I sat in a meeting every Monday morning for 4 years, and for an hour and a half, it was the most expensive meeting that happened in that firm all week. If you added up the hourly rate of the 15 to 20 people who were at the table, it was an incredibly expensive meeting. It was also incredibly unproductive for everybody but the CEO. And the argument is, well, this is a great way for the CEO to stay informed on everything that's happening in the business. That's simply not the case. There are much better ways for the CEO to be informed. And you have to consider that in those situations, people are coming to the meeting unprepared. They usually don't have data. They're shooting from the hip. Everybody has 5-6 minutes. Some people take a long time because they're long-winded. If there's bad news, they tend to hedge and not get to the point. I'm not a fan of the status update meeting. So what should you be doing? You should be solving the issues that are affecting the business. That's the primary focus of that meeting. There's some other things we'll go through in the agenda next week, but the main focus is on issues, insights, and actions. So if we talk about issues, we have to have a parking lot where we can capture those things. You're going to be walking around the business and notice issues. You're going to come out of a meeting and say that's an issue. You're going to walk away from a client appointment and you say that's an issue. We need to get that in the parking lot so we can resolve it. Once it's in the parking lot, you'll look at, prioritize those issues and say we're going to add this one to the agenda for next week. Ideally, give some people some time to think about it, to come prepared, to bring their best information to discuss this issue. And that's where you're going to gain additional insights from the leadership team around the table. That's what they're there for. They're there to take the responsibility off the CEO to cover every operational detail. That's how business becomes more valuable. That's also how business outperforms its competition. When we feel like we have a resolution, we can mark that issue with a stat we call status beta, which is kind of like we have a beta test phase. And we put a review date out there 30, 60, 90 days. And we don't worry about it. We just run with the solution that we think we have in place. And in 30, 60, 90 days, we say, did we really resolve it or not? If we didn't, we can readdress it, try a different solution, put it back in beta with another review date that's a few weeks out. If we did resolve it, we move it to resolved and we count that as a win. Now, we strongly suggest that you use some kind of software package to keep track of this because the issues are going to accumulate. You need a way to keep track of them. Some of the issues are going to take more than 1 week to resolve, so you need a place to kind of track the main discussion bullet points so you're not rehashing everything the next week when you pick it back up. You can start right where you left off. And there's a lot of platforms out there that will let you do this. You probably already have one in your business that we could modify into a persistent issues tracker. When we talk next week, we'll talk about like how much time in the leadership team meeting you should be focused on this. But this is the single most valuable thing you can do with your team on a week in, week out basis.